Hi, everybody. I read a great article several years ago about the most effective ways to take contaminated earth, soil, and purify it, and how to decontaminate it. And they looked at the aspects of water purifications, washing the soil, essentially, of heat applications, burning the soil. And they looked at the biological preparations of the soil, i.e., composting, and specifically hot composting. And what they found, and it should be no great surprise, is that the water and heat processes were not very effective at decontaminating the carbon chains in the soil. It burnt them or it washed them, but either way, it was extremely expensive. It would be impossible to do it at scale without a major uh, move to. I mean, it'd be huge industry just to take all that soil and wash it or burn it. And then the biological processes, which were actually very effective at cleaning it because you're taking the prokaryotes of the world, the most basic creatures that are breaking down the carbon chains and reforming them and letting them go haywire at this stuff. And they found that like a good hot compost was essentially the only effective way at cleaning uh, messed up soils, dirty, contaminated soils. And so what the article was looking at was what is the best way for this composting method to work. And what they found was putting in charcoal, and I would add to this other slow decay items such as bone, hair, shell, and all these other things that break down very slowly. If you've ever hot composted, you know that like shell and hair, they don't break down very well. They make it all the way to the worm pile pretty clean. And that's because they break down much slower. And what happens is that the contamination in the soil, the little prokaryotes, the little bacteria and archaea and all the other little things in the thermophilic bacteria world are breaking down the matter. And as they run into things that are decay resistant, that they're going to have to chew on for longer, they use the biospace in the slow resistant or the slow decay items like the hair and the bone. They'll put some of those toxins in there to chew on them later. It's like a spare bedroom for them. There's biospace in these things that don't have a lot of uh, good food in them, but they break down so slowly that you can store things in. It's like a spare closet. And so what they'll do is they'll take a lot of the toxins in the material and they'll digest it more slowly by putting it into these things, and that it creates a more effective digestion of the organic matter and slows down and basically breaks down at its own rate the slow resistant, the plastics and PFAS and all the things that we find to be extremely slow decay. And because in our environments that we're creating, there's almost no decay cycle going on. And a lot of these fields where they've taken, say, like biosolids, that's reduced sewage to like hardcore solids uh, filled with salts, and they put it directly on the land like fertilizer. Lo and behold, all this land is now toxic because of all the forever chemicals in that sludge that weren't that bad when they were at normal levels, but we concentrated them, put them on the fields like fertilizer because they did have salt value like that. And now a lot of the field is toxic because of the impurities in that are all concentrated, and the digestion in that soil is so poor that there's nowhere for them to go. And so as you add more and more, it just builds and builds and builds. And you use up all the good organic salts. Everything else is just kind of sitting and churning into the soil and into your foods and into you or the animals that eat it. And so what we need to do is really take a good hot compost, layer it on top, and the digestion in the soil that you occur by the biological churning in the soil that you're going to get by adding more organic matter, the food of this biological churning, what you'll see is that it will slowly churn out the impurities and drop them away, and they'll sink. And the good living soil will begin to rise up to the top, and that's what you'll do. And the whole trick is don't till that soil ever again, but just keep building it, building it, building it, and work it the way nature would, where you just add more and more fertility and more organic matter and dilute and dissolve and drop the impurities in the soil. And that's really the only way to do it. Is that fast process? No, but it's effective, and you can do it by processing your waste differently. You can do this by actively hot composting these fields by using waste that would normally go to landfills. This is something you get paid to do. People who have these PFAS fields where they put biosolids for ages and ages and ages, now they find their field is toxic and they can't grow anything or sell anything from it. They could potentially purify it by becoming a waste management company, collecting organic waste from their region, bringing it, sheet composting their field, creating a biocycle where they're growing all sorts of different legumes, grasses, and forbs and diversity, getting animals, herbivores, to eat this down. Don't eat the herbivores because all this is still toxic, but process the herbivores, their manure, and their carcasses into the hot composting process where it'll break it all down, and it'll be part of the purification, it'll be part of the organic churning that you'll get. And eventually these fields will come clean, in my opinion. Who actually knows? But the alternative is just to leave the fields dead forever. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video of that because this is an idea I've been thinking about for a long time. And I kind of want to throw it out there and start developing it. Thanks.